Welcome to the motherfucking One Up Yours podcast on the motherfucking One Up Network. It's Friday, August 18th, and you're tuned in. Scarlett Lee, got the whole team here. Guys, Shane, Luke.
That was quite a brief opening.
You like that?
Yeah.
I like how I got top billing.
Yeah.
Well,
the media blackout's over, Shane. You did blog.
That's right.
I am back. The special guest on here on the podcast. Happy to be here.
Wait,
You get to
special
announce
guest.
yourself as a special guest?
Yeah.
Screw that, dude. I thought you were back as in back.
As back as I ever am. I'm bringing sexy back to the One Up Yours podcast. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, you all
No, you're
about
bringing
it.
Sony back to the show.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We got a hell of a show for you guys today. Along with the what you've been playing in the first section, Luke and I saw some accessories for 360 we're going to talk
Well,
about.
that sounds exciting.
Hey, actually, it was really cool, dude.
Oh, okay.
You'll actually
Jesus.
be digging on that.
Game on.
Game on. Community time. When we come back after the break, we're going to do something for you fans. We're going through a bunch of the stuff that you guys have been putting on the suggestion thread.
Hot topics.
And, yeah, hot topics. Banging them out. Right, left. We'll just go until they die. And
Seeing
then
as
move
the
on.
thread was now 50 pages long, we should probably do something from it.
Yeah, One Up Yours, sort of.
It's kind of one of ours most of the time.
Which is really how it ought to be, right?
Yeah, you're right.
No comment.
All right, so then, of course, in the final segment, we'll hit the news. We got plenty of stuff in the news. We probably won't even make it through all this stuff, but, I mean, we'll hit the high points, and there you go, right?
Low points, too.
Low points, too. John, you've been traveling a lot, so have you actually had a chance to play anything?
Not really.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, huh?
There are these things called portable systems. You
I
take
did. I did take my DS with me, so I played a little bit on the plane. And then when I was in New York all week, and I went to see the guys at Rockstar, and I saw Bully and Vice City Stories.
Hot.
And that's about all you can say, unfortunately.
I'm not really allowed to say much about, which is really annoying, I know. But I will say that I was very, very pleasantly surprised by Bully.
That's like a big Kahuna only type showing, isn't it?
I don't think so. It was one of those sort of, I'm in town, hi, do you want to go out? And they said, stop by, play the game before you go.
Can you say anything about, like, it's kind of being aimed at more of a teen audience than GTA traditionally
Bully?
had? Yeah. It's rated teen, right?
I believe so,
I believe
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So do you think it is going to work for that audience? For its intended audience?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think something that's interesting about the way that it looks and the vibe of it is it's kind of timeless, which is interesting. Kind of the way the GTA 3 was, but this is timeless in the way. I know this sounds really silly, but you know the way the school scenes in Harry Potter is.
Yeah.
It could be 100 years ago, it could be yesterday, but there's a sort of timelessness to the environment
That's kind of
and the
unexpected.
characters.
Yeah.
Like Rushmore.
Yeah, a little bit like that, and there's a lot of that, and the school. I mean, it's a big sort of there's a small town and a community around the school, and I think I think people are going to be very surprised by what it presents gameplay wise. It's not just GTA with kids, that's for sure.
Clicks are timeless.
Huh?
Clicks. Like social groups that you run
Oh,
in. It's not-
clicked. Oh, sorry.
With a Q.
I wasn't
with
sure
a
what he was
Q.
saying.
Yeah,
either.
I'm sorry. I'm not ever. I came over all English then for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you mean cliques? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Clicks, my good man.
Female listenership +1.
And I saw Vice City Stories, which was it was a very, very brief look at it. But the interesting thing about this one is they're not going to be moving it to PS2. It's going to be PSP only this time. It's much more focused on that platform.
That could actually work out good for him, right?
Yeah, and I think some of it is because the tech is a lot more sort of focused on the handheld, and I played it very briefly, and it was definitely improvement over Liberty City Stories. But they did find Liberty City sold 2.2 million copies.
Holy crap.
Wow.
I mean, actually sold. I mean, that's not
Combined.
shipped.
The two
Worldwide.
SKUs.
No, PSP.
World.
It's the biggest.
Wow,
biggest
now
selling
Europe
PSP
and
game.
America together?
Yeah, the whole world.
That's a lot.
So I mean, they've
2 for every PSP that's actually being played.
Shane just gestured like he was wearing the WWF Championship belt.
It's like PSP ain't going so bad after all.
So, that and some Trauma Center on the plane, which
That's stressful.
apparently just shipped again this week.
That game's
New copies.
Too stressful.
You're right.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's very hard.
Makes me sad.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
But and I think we mentioned this last week. But Trauma Center and Phoenix Wright just were reshipped to retailers now, so you can actually find it again.
Shane, you had a chance to be playing anything in deadline time, or?
Yeah, actually, just yesterday, I took part in the big Virtua Fighter 5 tournament at Sega, where I tragically got third place.
Third place?
Yeah, Milky here, One Up's Milky, he is slightly better than me, and he beat me in the semifinal. by like 1% health, and then he lost. He choked in the final versus some dude. It was very depressing.
Could you have beat the guy in the finals?
Yeah, I could have beat the guy in the final. It was pretty
Hell, and I beat him a couple of times.
And you would have. Then we would have had. What would we have had? A sweet prize.
very sweet prize.
God damn it!
There's always next time. And then today, more Sega. I got to go play a new build of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz for Wii on the final Wii dev kits with the final Wii controller.
Nice.
Which was very surprising and very cool. And I asked them, I was like, "Can I talk about this?" They're like, "We think so."
Okay, so you're saying final Wii controller. What was final? What was different?
Everything you played with the Wii controller at E3 was like a prototype that didn't have all the functionality in it, and it felt you didn't get to play one, did you? But it felt kind of light, and people weren't sure. Okay, the final Wii controller, it's much heavier. The weighting is really good. It has the speaker, it has all the buttons, it has all the lights, and it just feels really well made and solid. It kind of reminded me of kind of like an iPod. It feels like something that's expensive and nice, actually. It felt good in my hand. The weight was good, and it had the nunchuck, and they're both in black, which looked really cool too. But yeah, it was, and we were all playing it for the first time, the PR guy and me. It actually controlled better than the version we played at E3 too.
Is that because of the weight?
I think so. It also had the final sensor, which was smaller on top of the TV, and everything it just played fantastically. I was blown away by how good it felt in my hand.
What does it look better in, black or white?
I think it looked kind of cool in black. Yeah, it was a very shiny black. It looked really nice. And the actual the debug unit is it's not nearly as big as the PS3 debug units we saw yesterday. It's
surprise.
It's about the same size. It's slightly bigger than a GameCube. The debug.
Whereas the PS3 is slightly bigger than an Xbox.
Yeah, they actually
with an HD DVD
They let me
drive
pick
on
up. They also had the PS3. They had the PS3 debugs there, and I was like, "Can I pick one up?" And it weighs at least 60 pounds. It is it is so heavy.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's like the refrigeration unit inside there, probably.
So that's.
Did you check to see if it had an internal, external power source?
The Wii?
The PS3. Did it have a brick?
It's internal.
Really?
It weighs 65 pounds.
No, but I mean that's big.
That's what I would have went and looked for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how the final hardware for retail works out, huh?
Yeah, it'll be interesting when we start to fucking learn something about final hardware.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later, then, Luke.
All right. So you play anything, or how about you, Luke?
No, I actually played something all new this week that I haven't played in a month, 2 months, 3 months. And I played Read a Book.
Oh my God.
It's this really cool game that I'd totally forgotten that I liked. And I'm reading this book that John gave me called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People.
It wasn't a message or anything.
Yeah, he didn't need any help.
Look, I don't. Did you write that book?
No, I'm working on a sequel.
That's where I was going to.
But the book is a memoir of a British journalist who goes and works for Vanity Fair and sort of, sorry for literary corner, kids, but he goes and works for Vanity Fair and sort of begins to uncover this treacherous PR scheme. And John thought it would be very appropriate, seeing the challenges that I go through every day.
The book came out a year ago. It was huge. The guy called Toby Young worked at Vanity Fair. He came over from England. And it was like the it book kind of year ago, 2 years ago. But it's there's a lot of commentary on the sort of press PR tension.
How are the graphics?
The gameplay is good. Graphics are solid.
Apparently, there was some other life lesson commentary.
Yeah, nice, Garnet. There's a lot of really funny stories throughout the book, and one of them is from this woman editor, and she Toby's retelling this letter that she sent him, and it's from an issue of a magazine. It was not from Vanity Fair. It was probably some from Vogue or something. But the question was how do I get a woman to respect me and think of me as more than just a cuddly teddy bear? And this woman's response, and Toby republishes it in the book, is sodomy. After being sodomized,
she won't think of you.
You will never have problems gaining a woman's respect, because everything after that becomes serious fucking business.
That's good advice for the kids, Luke. I'm glad you.
Yeah.
Well, I've been reading, and I wanted to share.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I'd just like to say I had nothing to do with that.
Thanks for the book, John.
Are there pictures in this book?
No pictures. You have to find your own visual aids, Shane.
Wow.
But so then today, I didn't really actually get to play anything on my trip up to Microsoft. I took my DS, but it never came out of the bag I was reading. And today, Garnet comes down to my cubicle and grabs me and says, "Well, Microsoft's here and we're almost done, so come see the stuff that they're going to show us." So they came in to show a bunch of accessories, and the wheel was here. It was the first time I've got to see the new wheel.
You didn't call me and the wheel was here?
Dude, we didn't call all kinds of people.
Trust me, anybody else wants to come and chew my ass about that,
Well, see, when I walked by, I saw you guys looking at faceplates and thought that looked boring.
Oh yeah, by the way, Luke,
I let the guys into the building. There was no indication that they were holding a wheel of any kind.
Dude, had a box this big,
like the wireless force feedback wheel. That wheel.
That wheel. It's fucking
That's the
awesome.
wheel you wanted to see.
That was the wheel I wanted to see.
They might be coming back tomorrow or today.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's awesome. So one of the things they did, like on the pedals, is they cut a hole behind where your foot goes down, so that you actually have your heel on the ground. So that instead of the pedals sliding all over,
you don't end up pushing it along the floor like you do with the Logitech thing.
Yep, doesn't. And actually, I was sitting there like banging on it, and it doesn't.
If only
slide.
there were a game I could play to use it.
Silence.
Wah, wah.
Well, so actually, PGR 3 is going to be made to support force feedback, and they're going to issue a patch, which really didn't make a lot of sense to me, because if you get the wheel, the PGR 3 force feedback version is going to be packed in with the wheel when it comes out. Forza 2, definitely. Yeah, they confirmed that. They didn't confirm when. They
confirmed that there is a Forza 2.
Confirmed that the support was in there.
I recently heard that Forza 2 will most likely be out by the end of the fiscal year.
Well, we've heard a bunch of debates back and forth on that, right?
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about any of it. I like to keep the flow of information coming to me and sometimes keep it stopping at me.
So I was impressed with the build quality of the wheel. We'll talk about the wheel for one more second.
Way to go.
Sorry. Not so much an advocate for the people this time.
The wheel they showed us was awesome. It's totally wireless. It runs on the same battery pack that the 360 controller uses, so you can just pop that out, pop it into the side.
Just one?
Just one. So the deal is, if you don't have it plugged into the wall, you don't get force feedback, you just get rumble, because the battery drain was too high. They even tried it with 2 batteries, and it was still too high.
How is the pedal attached?
The pedal is wire attached, yes.
Okay.
So the pedal's wire attached, but, it's not such a big deal. You're right there, right?
I'm right there. Yeah, my legs are where my hands are.
Right,
usually.
I'm saying
within a few feet.
Right.
Not the best question I've ever seen.
I don't think it's such a big deal.
Good journalism.
People in the demo, did you guys ask about the Xbox 3 redesigned controller? People are talking about. They were talking about Xbox 360 controller getting a redesign.
Well, we talked about a couple other things, so let's go through the hardware first, and then we can talk about a couple of other more interesting things. He said the wireless headset thing was awesome.
That was the wireless headset that they're putting out.
Is it like $60 though?
Don't care. It's so small.
Isn't it hella sexy?
It's so
one of the things that they're not
awesome.
talking about yet is price. So
I heard it was gonna be expensive.
Dude, it's worth whatever it costs. First of all,
pretty hot.
It's great. Yeah, it's
very
amazing.
comfortable. Totally cool looking. They actually said that they're using a better mic and a better earphone in it, because they wanted the sound quality to be of a higher grade. And then they were talking about how I said, so what plugs into the controller? Well, nothing plugs into the controller. The 360, I guess no one really knew this, actually has the potential to connect 40 different wireless devices to it.
So it connects directly to the console.
So it connects directly to the console,
That's
and then
hot.
you link it to a character or to a player.
This is a really specific question, but is it? I mean, a lot of Bluetooth headsets, they kind of sit on your ear. Is it an on the ear or in the ear?
It's an on the ear. It's an on the ear, and it has like a rubber cuff that goes all the way around the back of your ear.
Yeah.
It's like one of the most comfortable things I put on my ear, actually.
And it's
As opposed to the other things like condoms, socks,
right? Or as opposed to
assorted sticks of chewing gum. What the hell? All right, MacGyver. What the fuck? It's a very comfortable thing I've put in my ear.
Put a lot of things in Garnet's ear.
God Christ!
As opposed to other headsets, cock.
Good plug, Garnet. Microsoft's pleased.
Jeez, as opposed to other headsets like the crappy Plantronic ones that comes up from the bottom of your ear.
So you were able to try it out and you could hear things through it fine. And
They did not have it wired up, so we were only able to play with it as a demo model. They did not have it wired up.
Because some Bluetooth headsets, where they sit over your ear and they just sort of rest on it, and it's very difficult to sort of get it into a position where you can hear what's going on.
I liked it.
You liked it though, yeah?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
And it's white and silver and sexy.
Yeah, it's very clean design. It looks really good.
Yeah, it'll look very good. Like, I mean, as far as the design matches what you would expect, considering the 360 and the controller, like the aesthetic.
And it becomes with a software patch, right? So that the 360, because the 360 has Bluetooth in it. So, I mean, does that mean any Bluetooth
360
headset
isn't Bluetooth. Actually, so here's like one of the things we asked them about. So they decided not to put Bluetooth in the 360 for a very good reason. They said that there's a lot of bandwidth there, but that Bluetooth doesn't have the same high speed latency or low latency that the radio frequency has. So that's why they went with that 2.8 megahertz, like the phone range megahertz that they're on, is because they have a lower latency, faster response by going that route as opposed to Bluetooth.
Wow.
But doesn't another console that's coming out use Bluetooth, Shane?
Yes.
That is true.
Yes, they
So
do.
I'm not an expert, and I've been quoted on tech before, so I'm just going to throw it out there to the forum kids. You guys tell us, what do you know about Bluetooth latency?
Yeah, that's good. maybe question of the week.
Please explain to Garnett.
So then we also
what do you know about Blu-ray? Because Garnett doesn't know shit.
It was time for that. We also
that's not getting old yet.
Were there any other peripherals?
Yeah. I'm getting to it. There was
come on.
Was fucking Shane's derailing the show. We played for a long time with the Vision camera, and they sort of went through this demo. And my first question, and Garnett's sitting next to me, and my first question is, he starts talking about, well, there's this privacy setting, and only your friends will be able to see your personal picture. And I was like, so only my friends will be able to see the picture of my dick that I'm going to put on my friends list. And the guy starts to laugh, and he's like, yeah, you could be Dangler if you wanted to. And this is a Microsoft rep who's like totally just busting it up with Garnet and I while he and his boy play Uno. And then they gave Garnet and I a couple cameras to play with. So.
Allow me to defriend you tonight.
You don't use Xbox, dude. You don't have an Xbox 360.
I do.
Luke Smith's new gamer handle, Dangler-1up.
Yeah, Dangler1up. Add that shit.
So we also saw
I have a surprise.
We also saw the HD DVD drive.
Yeah. Although I didn't think they were actually going to show it to us until we were ramping up the presentation,
right.
And they're like, "Yeah, well, I think that's it." And I was like, "Really? I don't think that's it." Do you have the HD DVD?
How big was it?
It's not as big. How big is it?
It's like
picture makes it look big.
It's the size of a Bible,
dude. It's Gideon's Bible.
It's Gideon's Bible from your hotel. That's exactly the size it is.
Yeah, it's not so bad. It's really not so bad. And the other thing is, since it's not attached, you could almost set the thing anywhere in your console and have it wired up.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not attached.
Well, I mean, it's
by wires. It is
USB wire, but it's not attached in any way to the other piece of hardware. So you could set this thing off someplace else. Well, the form factor doesn't really work standing up. It's meant to lay horizontal.
I don't think listing it a separate piece as that's not like a feature. Like, oh, it's a thing you put next to it. Like, if it did fit in the Xbox 360, that would actually be better.
But I'm saying, you're right. Of course,
this bonus feature, it exists on its own.
I wasn't saying it like that. I'm just saying that because of the fact that
what a fantastic feature. Thank you, Microsoft.
Okay, next.
They explained and towed the company line about we're trying to give consumers a choice.
Did they talk about price?
No, and boy, did I try.
You saw the Chinese people said it cost $230 to make, right?
If it costs $199, no sale.
It costs $230 to make.
But they did not at all shoot us down when we suggested that maybe the new Pro Pack for Christmas would have it included.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they were kind of like, yeah, well, we explore all kinds of ideas like that. So don't be surprised this Christmas.
They were the same way about fucking hardware revisions. They were like, anything you've thought of, because we talked about price drop near the end. We asked if they were going to drop the price. And I joked with Garnet that why would they drop the price before Halo 3? And they were like, well, we're Microsoft and we made Excel, so we've mapped all this out with spreadsheets and are looking into what's the best way to do it.
That was great. We mapped it all out with spreadsheets.
It was their nice way of saying anything you possibly could think of, we've already thought of.
That's true. But you know what was more interesting to me about price was that we've wondered for a long time about the core system, and here's the core system spelled out for you. Their plan, and the reason they have or at least now what they're saying, the reason they have the core is that their goal is to sell you an Xbox 360 ultimately for $150.
A core Xbox 360.
Right. They want to be able to eventually, because their thinking is that, well, PS2 didn't take off until it went to 150, and now that's 130. They're selling tons of them again. We want a machine that we can sell ultimately, when we start doing price drops, eventually down the road, at $150.
I just want to point out pre-Garnet forum rape that I think the PS2 probably did okay before it got to 150.
Oh, yeah, no, it did great before then.
Right. Before you get raped. I just want to...
if someone wants to rape me for that, that's ignorant. The point is that it went mass market at 150.
Well,
there's price points.
Because some people think that they're trying to do away with the core system, and you're saying, no, they actually like the core system.
As a matter of fact, he said that when we got to the end of this whole lifetime, that there would be more people that owned core than owned Pro
That's
system.
why I find it interesting that right now for PSP, the only way to buy it is the one that doesn't have anything with it. You can't get the one that has the memory card and the carrying case anymore. That's gone. If you buy PSP,
you can't even get the Giga Pack anymore?
No. All that is available now is the one with nothing. It's the only one that's available in America.
So... interesting. I mean, I always wrote the core pack off. I mean, I'm one of the guys who I totally wrote the core pack off, because my argument with them is that, hey, if you're going to push downloadable content, how do you do downloadable content if you don't have a hard drive? Done. And their argument was, well, there's some people who just want to play games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whatever.
Skip's bored. What's the community talking about this week?
They're probably upset.
Swerve wrote an open letter to you.
Ooh. Yeah, dude's first post comes on the forums.
Yeah. We actually have
He's got balls.
Yeah, I had to print that out.
Yeah.
Come on, guy has one post count. One post, first post, calls Luke out.
Yeah. We as a peripheral. Not revisionist. I can't say it.
Not revisionist
in anything but its CPU. Got 158 responses.
Oh, by the way,
one of them's from me reminding them that I will actually respond at some
Luke,
point.
I'd like to tell you that he says
my job.
He says here that you're clearly totally aware that Wii hardware is a significant jump from GameCube.
Okay, see that's probably the reason I haven't responded yet, because it's not a significant jump from GameCube and it's not a significant jump from Xbox. The relative power of the two is the same. One of the little rumblings I heard this week at Game Fest was that the Wii could sell for $99 and still net Nintendo a profit based on the tech that's inside of it. So and then to counter this further, instead of responding I'm not going to type. You can just listen. Reggie said this week that he thinks of the Wii as just like we think of the DS. So you know what that means, bitches? Wii 2 years.
Ba-bing.
I'll see you then.
I don't think that's true.
I don't believe
Okay,
it.
that's cool. We'll see.
Because like
Talk to me in 2 years, and I'll eat crow then.
I think if Wii takes off in the way DS
You
took
want to
off,
make it interesting?
Oh, God. I don't
Wait a minute, what
I don't
are you
have money
doing?
for that.
Let's see what I got in my wallet here.
Let's see what I got in my wallet. Let's take a look. I've got a Social Security card.
$10.
In 2 years?
If yeah, it's going to be a long-standing bet.
this actually reminds me. I have a long-standing bet with an ex-1UP staffer, Kevin Gifford, that Nintendo will have a home console in the year 2010, and I believe we have a $500 bet, and I believe that yes, Nintendo will have a home console.
Don't you owe Jason Bertrand like $9 million?
That's not real money.
That's Soul Calibur money. It's different.
Exactly.
It's like Monopoly money.
But no. So what are you saying? This you're totally wrong.
No, I'll read me the whole letter. Give me the whole.
I can't read it. It's
very
really long. So
but
basically, he goes down. Here's where it gets silly. He compares it to so what if Toyota turned around tomorrow and announced a flying how
I hope they do.
This is how weak the argument
Wait,
is. Right?
no, that. So this was his
How do we
first
get to
post,
that?
and this is what he brought to the table.
A flying car.
Toyota
A flying
car.
car, and not better than the GameCube. And then we were curious as to why,
Well, so he says, what if the flying car, the speed wasn't vastly changed from their previous motors, but it could fly and stuff? Would the car fan alternate version of
we've spent
angry?
entirely too long on this letter.
Yeah.
I was
other-
actually very interested that it got 158 responses and none of them were
But
you.
let me answer this, kid. So, okay, kid, today I was playing a Wii game. A Wii game. And you know what? It looked like a GameCube game. But you know what? It was really fun, so I didn't care.
Right.
That's the answer to that question.
Hell, I thought he was going to say you got in a flying car.
maybe I
wish.
won't really care if it's less than $200.
Can I talk about some of the other stuff on the board?
Hit it.
Brendan S. brought up something that I think comes up on a bunch of boards from time to time, including, I know that the Gaming Age forums hit this every now and then. Do you have a habit of talking and thinking about games more than playing them? I think that's something that we
That's
see
a problem
a lot.
with a lot of message board posters.
And he says, I spend more time anticipating what's ahead than actually playing the stuff that's around now. I think that's something that does happen a lot. And it actually sparked quite a bit of people like, yeah, actually I spend a lot more time just talking about this stuff.
To defend that really quick, you can sit around and talk about it when you're at work, because you can post on the message boards and think about it instead of doing your job. You can't exactly fire up your DS Lite sitting at your desk.
Wow.
Another thing that I kind of enjoyed, just because it was kind of silly, Liar Paradox just sort of started riffing on what he felt were our voices. And, like voice of reason, voice of dissent. And then Shane, were described as the voice of Phil Harrison, which someone misread as the voice of Phil Hartman.
Wow.
Which then turned into a sort of an ongoing thread of people, well, if Shane was Phil Hartman, who would the other people be? Beige says that Garnet would be the Wonder Years narrator.
Yeah,
he already is.
Yeah, about to say that was pretty weak actually, since we did that 1UP show thing.
Skip is Diane from Twin Peaks.
That's a good one. Never
Diane,
seen,
that's
very
awesome.
mysterious. Yeah, Luke and I are big Twin Peaks fans, so we understand. Trust me, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm jealous.
That is awesome.
Luke, you're apparently the guy that shouts Sunday, Sunday, Sunday at Monster Truck rallies.
I can see that.
Who's that dude? You got a 5-day ban.
Beige. You don't want to ban Beige.
Whatever.
And then there were a few others.
He's banned.
Neeks thinks I'm Ganesh, which apparently is Hindu for Lord of the Hosts.
Nice.
But Garnet, you were Jesus in that one.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck? Was I Judas?
No, you were Jesus' cooler but annoying pal.
That's a character I
That was
remember
Judas.
from the Bible.
Judas was like Jesus' number one homie. That's why the betrayal hurt.
And
so
Shane,
much.
I'm not sure why. Maybe Neeks likes you a lot, but
Mary Magdalene?
no, Aphrodite,
Hot.
The goddess of love? Are you kidding me?
goddess of love.
I'm bringing sexy back.
And in this little menagerie of weird, Mark was Morpheus from The Matrix.
Oh.
That's good, actually.
That is good, yeah. Straight up.
Feedback to last week's show. There wasn't as much talk about the Cliffy Mark interview as I was expecting.
I read some stuff that people were happy that I actually pegged them on the hard question. Mark Rain was a little bit evasive on some stuff.
He was, yeah. There was some accusations of ass kissing. There was a lot of mic breathing chat.
Jesus.
Which, yeah, we know. We've had lesson learned.
Yeah.
Mark apologizes wholeheartedly, by the way.
Yeah.
He had forgotten to have a mic screen on his mic, I guess.
Other things that people talked about from last week's show, the Mark McDonald, not Mark Rain's comments about where he was sort of defending $60 games. That sparked a lot of debate. And Kears, not sure how you pronounce that, made a comment. Mark and Cliff should have thought twice before insinuating that the God of War downloadable content would be free.
Gears of War.
Sorry, not thinking straight. And he thinks that to say that the Unreal Tournament levels of generosity is probably not something we're going to see in an age of $15 add-on packs for things.
I disagree. Those guys are totally gamers.
Who? Cliffy and Mark?
Well, not Mark, but Cliffy especially.
I don't think they have anything to do with setting the price of the download.
Yeah, remember how they talked about the big corporation that controls everything?
I think they'll continue to fall back on that excuse with a sea of apologies to their fans going forward for about the next 6 months.
How long does the disappointment last before you actually get pissed and go, you know what, fuck this is bull.
Mm-hmm. Formula 50 said that shit was weak. Why? Because we didn't ask any of his questions.
Oh.
He wanted us to ask about the music.
He did, yeah.
It's special, and if you only have a few minutes with somebody, that's pretty,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another a thread that's now 7 pages long that's getting a lot of attention and has actually sparked some thought on something that we can maybe talk about in a future show, maybe when we've got a guest on, is Beige has a post about the idea of consequence in games. All the lights just went off. I can't read my notes now. That's really bizarre. Hang on. Who does it well, why, and does it matter? He's been playing Steambot Chronicles, which is a game that I've not seen. Have you played it, Shane? The new Atlas thing?
No.
It's like a Jeremy Parish game. Bumpy Trot.
He liked it.
It's got bad
Jeremy likes it.
Bad graphics.
But it's like a sandboxy kind of game, and there's a lot of consequence, and you make a living or whatever. And that sparked some debate about KOTOR and Eternal Darkness, and the whole idea that all these games with multiple endings, you can play them all the way to the end, and it's only the last 5 minutes where you really have any choice. And that's actually a really interesting debate that's going on right now. It's right near the top of the board, so jump in on that if you have any thoughts.
I'm sure Peter Molyneux has some thoughts on that.
I bet he does. And that's the sort of the bulk of the cool stuff from the boards right now.
We got a whole bunch of cool stuff to get into a little bit more depth when we come back on the other side. We're going to do a machine gun run through at least a few of the topics that have come in through the suggestion thread. So we'll be back in a minute.
You're listening to One Up Yours, part of the One Up Radio Network.
Hey, kids! Podcasts are here. You been hearing about podcasts? You like podcasts? You been reading about podcasts? Well, we got a podcast. Jeff, don't we got a podcast?
We do have a podcast.
CGW Radio.
CGWradio.oneup.com.
What's that? One of those URL things?
Podcast.oneup.com.
Whoa!
You can also get it at iTunes Music Store.
Whoa, wow!
Holy cow!
Can't get enough of DL.TV? Then download our podcast. Just go to DL.TV and click on the audio link.
Turning them loose.
You'll be able to listen to Patrick, Robert, and the rest of the gang over and over and over again.
Remember to keep the ear canal clean and don't share if you don't want to risk spreading disease.
All right, we're coming back to you straight from the boards with your suggestions on what to talk about. Skip's got us set up with a 3-minute timer. We're going to do this PTI sound, so style.
Can we actually say that? I was thinking about that. I don't know if we can say,
They're our friends. ESPN's our friends.
All right.
They like us.
I mean, when Kornheiser emails us and I make fun of him for his Monday Night Football performance, I'll let him know.
Dude, that wasn't right.
Is everyone going to know what PTI is? I didn't.
PTI.
Right, so this is going to be like a conversation format where we've got a series of questions or actually topics off of the message board. We're going to heat each one of them for 3 minutes, kind of open. Whoever's on their thought when the 3-minute buzzer goes up gets to finish, and we move on to the next one. So you guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Get.
So the first one is Luke was up there at the Microsoft Game Fest event, saw the whole thing about the XNA Game Studio Express and the desire to create a community arcade. How's that going to work out for Microsoft?
Well, I think it's a good thing in that we're getting a lot more games for Xbox Live Arcade, and they need games for Xbox Live Arcade. But this doesn't mean there's going to be a ton of great games all of a sudden. You still have to be able to program games. It's not like you or I can make a game. More or less, this is like Netgear Rose for PS1 all over again. It's not a huge deal, but it's cool, and other people should follow suit.
See, I think it's the biggest. I think it's like sort of quietly going to be the biggest announcement of the year, and it's sort of an announcement has the chance to change the way that the game industry functions. But simultaneously, I think that Microsoft is ignoring a lot of potential problems. They're not ignoring, but they're just not addressing right now with piracy, viruses, all kinds of crap that people can create, and then that will be able to infiltrate your platform. I think there's a lot of stuff that they're sort of overlooking, but I do think that they have an opportunity with this to sort of galvanize game creation.
I think if we're going to see more things like Okami and Eco and Colossus, I think it's going to come from this kind of program. But I think what it needs is more than just sharing the tools. I think we need to see more than there's the Space War game that they showed, but I think there needs to be a broad selection of games that people can go and pull apart and stick back together their own way.
Like how you named 3 Japanese games. Like, I don't think that's going to be happening for Xbox 360. We might get more Cloning Clydes and Feeding Frenzies this way.
The sort of something that's a bit more daring in terms of the artistic direction or the concept, or just things that aren't just cookie cutter shooters.
But the kind of games that a small team can make with this thing, can they really make impressive looking 3D games?
Absolutely they can. Look at what's been done on small time developers. Darwinia, that didn't take a huge amount of development team, right? Very cool design. Maybe Western developers just need a chance like this to do something creative without needing $20 million behind them.
You guys in EGM, you ran that story about the challenge to do the mobile game, and the guys that won, it was all hand drawn. I think it's that kind of, and it's like the way the Behemoth. I mean, like, the gameplay is not necessarily that unique, and it could have been lifted from somewhere else. But it looks so different and so distinctive.
If this works, it'll be because it brings back and nurtures that whole hobbyist idea of a couple of guys in a garage making a game and doing something cool and adventurous.
It is a small entry fee, and that's cool. I mean, any small team it's a lot cheaper than making a real game.
And if I understand correctly, you don't have to pay, right?
You don't have to pay for the first package, the Design Studio Express, which comes out August 30th in beta. You don't have to pay for that. You have to pay for the Creators Club, and the Creators Club is sort of where Microsoft's going to be dumping assets, and like we were talking about, art and stuff like that, which is really the sort of creation of art and art assets for these games. To me, is the what's going to hold things back, because you have like the Torque engine, which you do have to pay for, the Torque X package, which comes out around the same time, but the things like everyone's not going to want to use the Torque concept art and the Torque.
Do you have to pay for Torque? Because don't developers only pay for Torque if they actually publish? I don't know. The dinger went.
That is going to be the key question. What's going to happen when someone builds Geometry Wars and rakes in a mint off of it? Is it all going to change?
Yeah.
All right. Coming back next is, should companies bother? And you guys were talking to Hudson earlier today about something just like this, right? Should they bother with bringing back franchises that have been dead and buried?
Right. So Hudson met with me and a guy from OneUp today about how to best bring back one of their old franchises, and if it's even worth bringing back for a new generation of gamers. And we gave him our ideas, and we decided, it was eventually worth it. But, I have to ask, is it always worth it? Do people really care if someone revives, like Alex Kidd? If Sega was to make a new Alex Kidd, should they even bother? I mean, because at this day and age, a game from 15, 20 years ago, who's left that remembers it?
That's exactly the problem that I think Atari's going to run into with Earthworm Jim, because I was just looking at the PSP version last week, and I thought to myself while I was writing this preview, you know what? The good Earthworm Jim was the first one, and that was a Genesis SNES game, and that was over 10 years ago. All the people have seen since then is junk that wasn't made by Shiny. What do you think? I mean, John, do you want to see your old favorites come back?
I don't know. Earthworm Jim, it's just Earthworm Jim again.
Right.
Like some of the old stuff, I think it's good for the publishers in that they can go back through franchises that they own that they've not done before, and there's a bit. And the nostalgia is not the important part, though, I think, from them as a business. And there's not an enormous number of gamers that are going to, it's not like millions of people are going to go out and buy your Alex Kidd example. Right. It's just that they own it already, and they don't have to dream up some new crazy character.
Yeah, and if you talk to I've talked to the 16-year-old kids these days who refer to Nintendo 64 as, quote, old Nintendo, and to them, they don't know what the hell these old games are. And maybe Virtual Console will introduce them to them in a new way, but they don't have any nostalgia. They don't have this in their heart.
But what about something like a Bionic Commando?
Well, it's a good question. If Capcom finally does do it, will anyone care?
So if they do it right, isn't that the question? I guess there's twofold here. Can they do it and do it right? And then if they do it, do you want them to do something that's like a modernization of the game? Or do you want them to do just an inexpensive Virtual Console sort of thing? Luke, classic games?
I don't I'm kind of over old games. Like, really? Like, I'm getting to the point where I was talking with Ross Erickson while I was at Game Fest, and one of the things he said about Xbox Live, which I thought was funny because they just announced the Symphony of the Night thing pretty recently. You guys announced it in the Mass Effect cover EGM. And he was saying how he's like, you know what, I'm kind of over virtual console games. I'm kind of over retro shit. He's like, with Xbox Live Arcade, we have an opportunity to capitalize on like indie developers, and he listed a bunch of stuff that's coming out.
Spin, dude. They have no legacy. That's why they're saying that.
And they have no legacy, but like, I don't care about legacy at this point. Like, I still have my old shit. If I want to play it, I have it. And you know what? If I don't, some kid is going to compile it all in XNA's framework, compile all the old shit that's emulated, compile it with XNA coding, put it up on the internet. I'm going to download it to my PC,
and I'm calling
transfer it to my Xbox 360.
And I'm calling the FCC, and you're getting arrested.
and I'll be playing Super Mario Brothers 3 on my 360 by like Christmas. Owned. Perfect timing. Me.
So if you've got big franchises, and let's talk about franchises now that are still out there and high profile. Do you want your top designers? Do you want your best people out there in the world? Do you want them working on continuing those great franchises, doing sequels, or do you want them working on innovative new IPs? And how do you get those two to coexist?
I call this the Bungie conundrum. I'm coining that now. It's, because Bungie is sort of, they've indicated several times that they want to work on new IPs and they want to work on new projects. And yet, because of the success of Halo, these guys are sort of burdened by their own success. After Halo 3, I really hope that Bungie is going to be working on something that's not a Halo game. And that's hopefully the direction they're going to go. At some point, these franchises have to like...
Now, do you hope it's not Halo and also not Marathon or anything else that is brand new?
No, because here's the thing. The dynamic and the personnel at Bungie has changed so much since Halo Combat Evolved. So much. New multiplayer guys... Like, Jason Jones is still at Bungie, but then Alex left and went to form Wide Load Games. The actual core group of Bungie has changed so much since Halo Combat Evolved. And looking at the Halo 3 team, it's a totally different group of guys in a lot of places. So I want to see what the new Bungie can make that's outside of the realm of their Halo universe. Because they made, like, Oni, and, I mean, they've had some games.
Oni could use a remake.
I'm just saying, like, they've had some games that were kind of...
that was one of my top disappointment games ever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bungie's had games where you're kind of like, what else? Well, let's be frank about it. They're not batting 1,000.
Shane, you're a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. Do you want to see new stuff from Kojima?
Not really. I think Metal Gear Solid is the best thing he's ever done, and he's best when he's doing it. But I think at Sony, we've seen like with David Jaffe, he makes this amazing new IP, God of War, but then quickly removes himself from it because he wants to make something else, but he puts it in like hands where he's sure it's going to be good, and he does he executive produces it and makes sure it's fine, but he doesn't have to go and trap making God of Wars for 10 years, one a year. I think he is the future of gaming, and like that kind of idea. Like, you make something good, you hand it off, you still oversee it, but you keep making new things.
Yeah, if you're successful and you've built the team, then you have the right guy to hand that on to so that he can continue the franchise and you can go build something fantastic.
Best of both worlds.
I think the new IPs, it's really important. I mean, like, just churn. You are feeding into the churn. But Shane and I were talking earlier on today that we think that, probably on PS3, one of the most significant games that no one's really talking about yet because it doesn't have a name is the thing Naughty Dog's working on.
Huge.
It's by Amy Hennig.
Huge.
Amy Hennig has pretty much 100% batting average on all of her games. Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, all that stuff. It's all excellent. And it's really interesting. It's, it's got some Tomb Raider to it, but it's guy.
It's fresh, but it's familiar. I mean, like, you know it, you see it, you understand it. It looks great. I think that game's going to be amazing.
And it's the same challenge that the movie business is going through right now, because how many times do we need the origin story of anything retelling? Now they're even talking about doing what they did to Superman to Star Trek, of all things. They're going to go back and re-explain the origins of Captain Kirk. And it's like, this is what you're reduced to?
Wow. That's a hell of a spot to stop that conversation thread right there, right? So if we're worried about new stuff versus old stuff, how about this side of it? Achievements and Gamer Store have been hot because people are into, like, obviously achievement whoring, but are they good for games? Are they pulling us through games? Are they getting us to finish more games? Or are they actually making us spend longer in games than we would have in the first place and not buying as many new games? Is it slowing down the cycle?
Greg Ford from EGM is a huge achievement whore. He's like, I logged in the other night and he's playing something just like
Fight Night.
Yeah, He's playing fucking Fight Night. And I asked him at the office today, I'm like, Greg, or last week, Greg, why are you playing Fight Night? He's like, dude, I gotta unlock the rest of the achievements in the game. I'm not done with it yet. So what it does, and this will be like Shane-esque spin, which you're not really accustomed to. Maybe the achievement system is Microsoft's way of making you play their games longer because they don't have a whole lot of them yet.
I was going to say, that's a brilliant question because achievements only work for people who let them work. Like, I don't give a shit about points. I don't care. But people who do care, it's brilliant because they're going to keep playing games by game.
I've heard people say, if you really want to jack your score, go rent King Kong because you can beat it in a weekend and you get 1,000 points and all you have to do is beat it. I mean, like, this is like the way people are approaching it.
Right, but your question about are people playing their games longer? Of course they are because achievements are only on Xbox 360 and there aren't any games on Xbox 360.
Ooh,
well, I mean, there's no disagreement with the fact that the game library is limited. But after it's done, here's the deal for me is I was into the achievement scores at first, but as time's gone on, I've kind of gotten to the point where, you know what, I'm not really so caught up in it anymore.
It affects the way I play games.
Yeah.
So I have a limited period of time to play games on my own time. So I'll play for a couple of hours, and very often I will time it to an achievement.
Does it inspire you to go back?
I know what the next achievement is. I'm going to play till then, and I'm going to turn it off.
Does it inspire you to go back and like play Call of Duty 3 on hard or on a higher difficulty?
No, and you know what? Grow pissed me off.
Well, and the quality of achievements varies wildly. Like, Dead Rising does it right. They're clever achievements. They're things you wouldn't necessarily go do, but they're cool and they're not impossible. Whereas things like, I think it was Call of Duty where everything was on expert difficulty. No one's going to do that.
This is where we get to say, bite me to Dead Rising again, whereas a bunch of achievements where it doesn't even tell you what you have to do.
I want to say that I talked a lot of shit about that game over the last 2 weeks, but gonna go buy it this week.
It's really, really good, but there's a lot about it that's really infuriating.
It's really bad, but really good.
And to clarify, like, go buy it, I'm gonna go trade shit in. I'm not actually gonna spend money.
Right. Well, it's just cathartic because you're smashing in zombies. Do you think, Shane, then, that there actually is a conscious thought by game designers to make more smaller achievements to keep you in their game because they know they don't have anything else for you to play?
Well, I mean, I think we'll see achievements become more mainstream across the board with PS3, and they'll probably get better as they go on. And it's an evolving thing. It's still too early to really call.
I think it is affecting the way games are being designed.
Yes?
Yes, absolutely. I think that being able to sort of drip feed you feel like rewards is a really important thing that video games like stopped doing for a very long time. And the achievement point, all that achievement point stuff, is actually pushing the idea of like constantly rewarding you, and it's what you need.
If it gets people to finish games, is that a good thing?
Yeah. Wow, look at that.
That was perfect timing. It's like I knew that was just going to pop right there. Okay, so if that gets you to finish a game, let's talk about what happens when you start a game. What hooks you into a game? There's been this argument about, should a game have like this progressive system where as you're getting into the game, you're leveling up, you're slowly gaining new powers, which is like, so the example that was given in the question, the original poster was the Psychonauts example. You go to training camp, you get some powers, and the entire course of the first part of the game, you're gaining all these new powers. Contrast that to God of War. You start off, you're a badass, you can kick Hydra's asses, and you're just totally drawn in. Which works for you?
It's funny that you use those two examples. I swear we didn't plan it because neither of those games hooked me. I played God of War. I was the badass. I beat the Hydra. I got to the next level. I took on 2 chicks at once, and I was like, I'm over it.
That was all you wanted to do.
I ran through half
Once
the game.
Once you've done 2 chicks at the same time.
Yeah, I don't really know how your game's going to do any better than that.
Where is it to go from there?
But
3?
Yeah, but to be serious, though, with Psychonauts, too, I mean, we all know how that turned out. So I don't know what it is that gets... But the thing is, too, like, people complain about the slow beginning to Metal Gear Solid 3. Heavily criticized. But there was no chance I was turning away from Metal Gear Solid 3 because I wanted to know the story that Kojima was going to tell.
Yeah, these are strange examples, and, like, I think all those games, except for Metal Gear, are I think God of War and Psychonauts do hook you pretty easily because you're playing games and it's fun, it's cool. And like Metal Gear, which I love and gave it 10, I do think it has too slow of a start. There isn't enough action. Like, it's important for me in the first hour of a game that I'm like doing stuff, playing stuff, going places, controlling the game. Too many, like, I hate games where it's like cutscenes for 40 minutes before you play a game. And that's the biggest problem.
This is tied into the previous question, and I think previously you had to level up the way that you do in Psychonauts as part of a forced reward system. But by taking the reward system out of the gameplay mechanic, I think it's freeing up designers to be able to drop you in as a badass. And I think we're going to see things like that with Army of Two, games like that. I mean, Splinter Cell. Like, Sam Fisher is a badass from the moment, and it's you learning how to make use of his skills. And when you pull that reward system out of the gameplay, I think it is going to make you more interested right from the beginning.
I think what the poster was at the edge of is a bigger discussion about pacing, and that's really where we've gotten in games that are in games that we're talking about, like they're adventure games that are high concept games. You're now to the point where you're really telling an interactive story, and it has to have the pacing that a good work of literary would have, that a good movie would have.
A game I just reviewed that has excellent pacing is Yakuza for PS2 by Sega. It's one of the best paced games I've ever played.
Wow. That was totally came out of
Shut the fuck up.
There you go.
So what about the pacing worked then?
Well, it has really good storytelling through like well-directed cutscenes, but it doesn't go overboard. It gives you just enough to keep you interested, and then I think it gives you like a directed mission or like a wide open do whatever you want thing, and it mixes it up really well and keeps you kind of on your toes.
So you've played that. Did you play Saints Row?
No, I've watched people play Saints Row, but
I've heard that Saints Row, a very similar game, completely the opposite, and that the pacing is terrible.
I've not played Saints Row.
All right, so we're going to finish up with 3 strong ones, guys. Now, here's where we got to really get into the thick of this here. First of all, handheld coming up this fall. PSP trying to fight back. They've been showing. There's been some good third-party games being seen recently, although it's not. It's been denied. Maybe there is a chance of a price drop. What do you think? Is PSP going to make a comeback, or is the DS leads just insurmountable now?
I think the handheld space is decided. I don't think you can do any. Like the DS is like a semi truck, and the PSP is like a retarded kid on a bike.
I mean, although there are a few PSP games looking forward to this fall. Overwhelmingly, there are almost too many DS games that I want to purchase with my own real money and play.
Yeah. Like, wow, you still do that?
I still do that.
Like what? Like compare 2 games. What's the DS game that you got to buy versus the PSP that you think's cool but wouldn't buy?
Castlevania, the new one. Yoshi's Island 2 or Castlevania or Zelda or like Final Fantasy 3 or on PSP like Metal Gear and maybe Loco Roco.
Zelda actually is next year.
Yeah. So.
John, you've been doing a lot of traveling lately. Mm-hmm. Which have you been playing?
DS, always.
Okay, so what's the deal? Why do people play the DS? What's the gravitas of the PS, and why does it not work with the DS?
People still haven't got the hang of it on the PSP. They're still, what's the what?
I think he was saying,
what's the guy's back? I did him backwards.
No, we only have 3 minutes. Just go.
Go.
The readers know you screwed up.
Well, you're going to slow. The problem with PSP, I pick up PSP, it's loading, it's slow, it's clunky. I set it down because it's taking a minute to load. DS, within 5 seconds, I'm having
console
fun.
experience versus handheld experience.
Exactly.
That's what it is. DS is like, it's instant. And the only game on PSP I'm looking forward to, having seen it this week, is Vice City Stories. But before I saw it, I didn't really care that much either because it's too involved for a handheld. I'm not going to sit on a plane and play. I was very disappointed when I heard about this Star Wars game that is coming to PSP and DS from Ubisoft, the LucasArts thing. Because when you read the description, it's a fucking action game, and that's not what I want on a handheld. I want something that's a bit more, that's more compatible with.
Where it's like, how many of us in the room were excited about Phoenix Wright 2? I am. I'll go buy that. It's like a lawyer game, It's crazy.
What if you got Final Fantasy VII or the equivalent on your PSP?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Square is in love with DS. Come to TGS.
Yeah.
Come to TGS. You'll be a little surprised.
Yeah.
So I can't pull anything out of my hat here that would get you to say yes, PSP is going to be successful.
Right now, I don't know. I'm not sure what it would take. And Loco Roco, a lot of people seem to be cooling on it.
Loco Broco.
Why do you say that?
No, actually, I like it, but it flopped in Japan. It's like $17 in Japan.
Right, he wins for that.
Loco Broco.
The Sony Defense Force.
I like
the
Loco.
ship's sinking.
I like Loco Roco. It's a cool game, but it's too little, too late for Japan. Sorry.
Yeah. And not even things like GPS supporting and that kind of stuff. You can't turn PSP into a Gizmondo.
PSP does a million things, but how often do you want to do them? I just want to pick up my DS and have fun with it in 5 seconds.
Can I just play games first?
Yeah.
Still kind of working on that part.
Yeah. All right, time up.
All right, so Luke, you're going to love this one because this is like a slow pitch right down the center. The Wii. We've talked about the hardware. We've talked about its technology not being superior, even being inexpensive to produce. Do you think that could actually wind up being a bonus for them because more third-party games would be easier to develop because you don't need a big team, you don't need $20 million because you can do it on old tech?
No, I actually think the exact opposite of what you're saying because I think that right now, the idea of the Wii being cheaper to develop on is really novel. It's a really cute idea, and it's something sort of like Fantasyland, where we all think that that's where it's going to be. The reality is the install base of the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the PC as a collective entity will trump. Thereby, you'll have developers developing multi-platform titles for all three. They won't be able to develop the same titles for the Nintendo Wii. As a result, the Nintendo Wii games will have to have their own budget. The Wii games will still cut Red Steel's like a $12 million game. That's still not cheap. It's still not cheap, and that's a game that Ubisoft's independently dumping $12 million into, where, like, what's the total development cost of Splinter Cell and porting it across all platforms? And which one do you think is going to make more money? That's the paradigm that these developers are going to ultimately be facing. Do I develop this game on 3 platforms with a higher install base, or do I develop this niche game for the Wii?
I think you're partly wrong there because
I agree.
I think 38 million PS2s right now and still growing is a difficult thing to fight against. And if Wii development is lumped in with that, and all they have to do is rethink the controls, and they don't necessarily have to do that they could just map it to a normal controller.
How long can you carry on with that though?
2 years.
2, 3, 4 years, maybe. I don't know.
Right now, people are pitching games, PS2 version, Wii versions. It's happening a lot.
Yeah, they're going to come together. And I don't think you're going to see 360 PC and PS3 stuff come in at the same time. I think you're going to see a lot of 360 and PC stuff coming together. But PS3 is going to be out there on its own, I think, in those regards.
This kind of opens a question that we didn't actually have, but with the increased bump in sales that Sony's had on PS2 at 129, could that actually influence them needing to keep PS2 around a longer time and slow adoption of PS3?
Well, I mean, it lets them slow the price drops on PS3.
Sony describes itself as a 3-product company now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing what Microsoft did and walking away from the previous platform. PS2, they said 10 years. They meant it, and if they can drag it out longer, they will.
To answer the question about Wii, I'm going to say this. I think there's a middle ground that you'll find some Wii developers in between the guys who'll use the XNA support and the guys who'll be going at the top end of PS3 who'll be able to do creative things, have lean and mean teams, but have a team. Have a team with some money.
That's the key. And it's not that the Wii will surf on the back of the PS2 creatively. The PS2 becomes the justification for doing a Wii game. In that we're going to develop this game, we've got this great idea for a Wii, and then we're going to make it for PS2 so we can make the money.
If you look at the PS2 version of the Rayman game that's coming out on Wii, it's just like the Wii game clumsily put on PS2. It's like you control a cursor now instead of controlling a Wii controller. And I think we're going to see that.
But they might get another 1 million copies because when your install base is nudging up on 50 million, which it is going to be in a year or so, selling 1 million copies of a game of something that costs less than half what a PS3 game does, suddenly it makes the risk a lot easier to swallow.
PS2 continues to outsell Xbox 360 in America.
Yeah.
That's true, but we're also seeing a shift in how the big publishers support their developers. Maybe if Nintendo comes to the plate and helps the Wii development community, we could see even more. All right, bottom of the ninth, 2 out. Here's the big final pitch coming to you. Guys, each of you, what's going to be the buy trigger for you on PS3 and on Wii? And as a follow-up, if you want to comment on it, one of the other questions people have been batting around is, how do you feel about the whole pre-ordering frenzy that the retail shops try to whip you up into? I'll let you start.
Well, me purchasing a PlayStation 3 is an inevitability. I've been excited about it. I want it. I'm going to buy it first day. It has the games and the technology. It's you just got to have it. Same with Wii. But in terms of the pre-order business, it's a tragic inevitability that you have to pre-purchase if you want to get it. I will pre-purchase both of those because I want to get them. And it matters to me, and I'm an enthusiast. I care enough. I'd even wait in a line if I had to. I want to have them. I like to have the new technology. Yeah, sue me.
Luke?
I can't think of anything that would get me to buy a Wii at this point. There's no piece of software that Nintendo can announce that's going to change the way I feel about the system, having played it right now.
Do you not like having fun?
I don't necessarily think that it's fun. I'm looking forward to next week at Leipzig to see what I'm going to get to play.
You don't think that WarioWare with the Wii is fun?
I think it'll be fun playing it at your house, but that's on your dollar, not mine. The PS3, the trigger for me buying PS3 is software, and I disagree. I don't see any software that I'm necessarily interested in, at least for another year.
Resistance.
It could be Metal Gear. Metal Gear 4 could probably be the thing.
I think you and all your Xbox friends are completely not feeling Resistance, and when you see how good it is, you see it's better than any of the shooters on Xbox 360, you're going to wise up.
Yeah, but the question about Resistance to me is, what game is worth $700? And Resistance is not worth $700. No matter
what game is worth $700?
There isn't a game worth $700.
You want it to be, and it's a fallacy.
But right now,
defeatist attitude.
It is sort of forced into Resistance has to be worth $700 because there's not really anything else that people are really hopped up on. Maybe Heavenly Sword. I mean,
well, but Final Fantasy, Metal Gear.
It's John's turn. You got to tell us. How about you?
I want Resistance to be the thing that pushes me over. I need more information about it before I can make that call. But I mean, it definitely looks like it has the potential. It sounds like some of the multiplayer stuff could be what swings people. When people start to hear about what they're doing with multiplayer, that could be what sways you. And for Wii, Wario, definitely.
PS3, I can guarantee you, I'm with Shane on this one. I'll buy a PS3 the second it comes out. I have to have it. And I'm going to surprise you with one of the things.
I didn't know you were such a smart fella.
I'm going to surprise you.
It's his wisdom.
One of the games that I really want to play, despite the crappy control with the flying controller, is Warhawk.
It's cool.
It was totally cool. And I have very, very fond memories of the original Warhawk, so I'm totally down with that. And whether it's because I just like the idea of Ninja Theory or whatever, I'm going to keep a soft spot for Heavenly Sword because I like the idea of it. I like the character design. I'm hoping that it's not quite as... It just seemed really forced in the demo at E3, but it was really tight demo, I really like the PS3. I do like the capability. I like the potential. I like the people who are going to be developing on it.
30 frames per second, March.
Garnett,
Heavenly Sword, when the PS3 is actually in the retail channel.
You got the last word. Garnett, welcome to the Force.
You know what? I just like good games. That's all I got to say about that.
I'll let you know when you list some, because you haven't yet.
Well, I'm sure we got some good games to talk about.
Can you not hear that?
We're done. We're moving on. I'm sure we have some good games and personalities and everything else to talk about in the news segment. So we'll hit you up in about 60 seconds on the other side.
Hello, and welcome to the OneUp Radio Network. If you know the name of the podcast you'd like to hear, press 1 now. You have selected Radio PM, starring the editors of the official U.S. PlayStation magazine. To download an episode at radiopm.oneup.com, press 1 now. To listen to a promo, press 2 now. In a world ripped apart by war, only one magazine.
Want more Extreme Tech? Well, now you can join the crew of expert analysts for a weekly podcast. They'll give you the lowdown on the latest technology news, product reviews, and let you know what's coming up. Just go to extremetech.com to subscribe.
You're listening to One Up Yours on the One Up Radio Network.
All right, we're back to let Luke get into some news, and we're going to start with an easy target talking about game topics. I mean, at least one that people like to hop on, which is Madden, right?
Yeah, I mean, EA is an easy target.
It's a pile-on, isn't it?
When they do things like this with Madden, they should be. We talked with EA today, and we talked with... well, the thing is, there's like 2 bugs that have been reported about Madden 360. One of them is actually sort of a working as intended situation, and that's the Hall of Famers infiltrating the franchise mode, which they actually intended to have.
Which actually, if you play the game, makes sense, because I played the game. So what happens is, as you're playing through the game, you're unlocking these characters who are Hall of Fame greats, and they become free agents. They drop into the free agents.
Does it explain why dead people are then playing in the NFL?
It's because it's not filtered. I understand.
Is it a Dead Rising crossover?
So here's the problem. You have to think about the way the game's set up. The game is set up with player rosters, right? And then there's like a free agent pool. So once they open these guys up for you to play, they have to put them in the free agent pool. Once they're in the free agent pool, they're live.
So Bart Starr can play on the New York Jets.
That's right.
The other complaint, which is actually a far more troubling one, is a fatigue-related issue. And we talked with David Ortiz, who's like he's the head dude. He's like the main boss of the 360 version. And the problem is that players apparently aren't getting fatigued. And he says that they are getting fatigued. He said that, God, where is it? Player fatigue. It's supposed to be rated in colors, right? You've played it from green to yellow to red. And did you see it changing when you were playing?
David's a very cool guy. I'll tell you, I respect him, but I don't think the thing is turned on at all because I played, one of the teams I play the most is the Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan. They run a 2-back set with Jones and Barber, and I cranked the bar all over the place to try and get it to ever sub Barber. Barber never came into the game unless I put him in. Jones was not fatiguing at all. I could run him and run him and run him and run him and run him. There was no drop.
Well, he disagrees. He says that's actually not the case. The UI isn't registering it. You fatigue at a lower pace than in the past, but that isn't reflected in the UI. It's something we're addressing and fixing right now.
I'm glad they're fixing it.
So they're going to patch it. They're going to patch it as close to release as Microsoft lets them. I mean, I assume it'll be like sort of how annually it's a first-day patch for Madden.
This is a big deal for people who play competitively online because if you're playing with fatigue off, it's going to allow people to just use superstars and beat the hell out of you. A Marcus Vick without any fatigue could just mow you down mercilessly.
It's more than a big deal for online. It's more than a big deal for competitive play. It's a big deal for being Madden, which is the game that Microsoft should be using to its advantage because the only next-gen Madden is on 360 right now, and it's like they talked about back at E3. It's their sort of de facto advantage. And
the PS2 version doesn't have this problem.
Review coming next week, but I wish the 360 version was better than it turned out to be, but it's not bad.
Your EGM review is already out.
Is it?
No, it's not. It's not. Never mind.
No,
Jesus.
Sorry.
Spoilers. Next is a study showed that some games promote sociability. A study by Constance Steinkoiler and Dimitri Williams discovered that not all video games will turn you into a hermit. And the study is titled, Where Everybody Knows Your Screen Name, Online Games as Third Places. And when the study argues that online environments, like those found in MMOs, hey, World of Warcraft, are these third places that are used, and third places means a place used to describe a physical place outside the home or workplace where people get together for social interaction. So it's sort of like saying the sky is blue and the grass is green, and there are some social experiences to be found in games. Thank you for the reveal. That's very helpful.
I especially enjoyed
Someone
those
got paid
Halo.
a lot of money to commission that.
I know. I feel like I'm in the wrong industry.
Those Halo social experiences are mighty special.
Yeah.
So the report talks about promoting sociability in games, or it just promotes people that play them to be more sociable. I mean, is there a real world element to this research?
I don't know.
Or is it just people in online games talk to each other?
It seems like it's
no shit, Sherlock.
People in online games talk to each other, and one of the comparisons these researchers made is that the worlds of Lineage and Asheron's Call are like Cheers.
Christ.
Yikes.
Have these people not heard that actually real people get married from folks they met in their MMO?
I know a bunch of people from different MMO, from World of Warcraft, as I've been following this Burning Crusade stuff, talking with a bunch of different guilds. Tons inter-guild dating. I'm just amazed. I'm a little weirded out.
A lot of nerd babies coming.
Yeah. So I was up in Seattle this week, all week. Just got back yesterday from the Game Fest. One of the interesting tidbits that came from the Game Fest, the FPS controller that they sort of hinted at wanting to develop, and speculation like, was the right analog stick going to be a mouse? Is it going to be? It's Shack News reporting that an advanced version of the Xbox 360 controller, one that would be better suited for first-person shooters, may be in the works. On that, really quickly, I kind of dig dual analog for an FPS. It doesn't bother me.
They really need to address it before they start doing this cross PC and 360 stuff, because 360 gamers are just going to get owned.
Dude, I hear Microsoft and FPS controller, and it scares the shit out of me.
I have one of their original FPS controllers.
People like that crazy trackball sidebinder thingy, don't they? I heard people liked it.
I had to have one, and it was just hard. It felt like your joystick was collapsing.
It was horrible.
Okay.
It was crap.
Apparently, I heard.
But I do like the idea of replacing it with maybe a trackball or something that.
There's
that
a controller that did that.
Yeah,
did it.
The orb thing, right?
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull it off. I mean,
maybe make one of them like a wand and attach like a nunchuck to it. Oh no, wait!
That's a
Nintendo. They're brilliant.
Oh wait, Red Steel, fun.
But
Unreal Engine.
But I mean, Shadowrun is going to be. I mean, it's going to be a catalyst for.
Shadowrun needs all the help it can get.
But the multiplayer. I mean, there's going to be that they're going to have to manage it in the way that you can play against PC gamers, but they can turn around faster than you can.
Yes.
Sad jazz. Even sadder, Microsoft with their big step forward with the XNA initiative in a session called The Future of Xbox Live Marketplace sort of showed their ability to take a huge step backwards with a new kind of microtransaction that they
what do you call those?
Consumables. These purchases would be repurchasable items. And the alarming thing, I didn't make it up in the news story. This is exactly the example this dude gave. If a game was selling 100 gold pieces, you'd be able to rebuy 100 gold pieces when you needed
that's
them.
it. I'm taking my headphones off. We're going up to Seattle right now. Come on, let's go.
That's multiple micro rapements.
Yeah, it is rape time. Cue graphics.
Hey John, I just heard in Forza 2 you have to buy gas, and the price of gas.
We're going right now.
It's actually affects in real time by the price of real world oil.
Yeah.
So.
I asked Microsoft after the session. I was like, you guys really, if I have to buy fucking ammunition for Halo 3,
buy bullets.
In the next Oblivion, you'll have to sharpen your sword.
And the Xbox Live fuck you pack.
I was like, have you seen The Passion of the Christ? Because that's what I'm going to do to you. If this is some shit that's like, buy rockets for Halo 3, 100 points for 4. Are you kidding?
Yeah, we've all joked about how far they can take microtransactions. They're going to show us.
I mean, no, the thing is like
they're going to call our bluff, John.
Yeah,
they sat around in a meeting and they go, hey, you know what we should try? Let's try. We've built up all this goodwill around this service that we've had, and it's the one thing that everyone says is the true definition of next generation. Let's go fuck it up.
And you know what? That was the problem all along, was the sad truth that we were all thinking in the back of our heads. You know what? They're going to push this shit too far, and they're going to piss a lot of people off before they figure it out.
Guess what?
This was just theoretical thinking, right? This was just him thinking out loud.
This was him thinking out loud in a room full of developers, one extremely cranky journalist, and him explaining that this was how this tech could be used in a beneficial way for your game.
How was it received by the people that weren't the cranky journalist?
I shit you not. As soon as the session was over, hands up. Dude, ask the first dude. Dude's like, when can I have this tech? When will this be available to us? Well, and it's coming out in the September revision of the SDK.
This was the same week that Activision announced they made $1 million off of Call of Duty 2's download.
Yeah.
What?
No, they made $1 million, but there's three companies. This came from the thing, too. 3 games have made over $1 million on Xbox Live Marketplace with products supported afterwards. They wouldn't talk about any of them, but Call of Duty 3 is one. I would imagine Graw is probably
Oblivion,
one.
You think?
And then, I mean, maybe Oblivion.
I think Oblivion.
That's got to be the triumvirate.
Now, this includes all the bullshit, like, not just the game stuff, but the skins and all that stuff that you end up accidentally blowing money on.
Yeah, and it gets worse because a guy asked, like, so what about, because we really like our community and we want to offer gamer packs and themes and stuff for free, and Microsoft is adamantly opposed to that. They're like, we sort of set a precedent to having these themes and these picture packs cost so much, and we don't really want to start giving this stuff away for free.
Yeah. That is pure bullshit. That pisses me off because
Garnet is seriously calling bullshit.
That is one of the best ways to get people interested in buying your games is to build character recognition, to build brand recognition. And you're telling me you want me to pay for it? It's like when you want me to fucking pay to wear a Coke shirt.
But if this is the way it goes, I mean, we can't stop it. We might just have to deal with it.
We could stop it.
Can we?
We could just go play something else.
Exactly.
Oh, God. I don't want to play something else. I don't really even want to play my 360. There's more.
I won't touch that one.
There's more. Yeah, there's more. There's going to be a new function that lets vendors be sort of inserted into video games, and those vendors you'll dictate transactions on the marketplace via an in-game vendor. So it'd be like in a Ninja Gaiden game.
Can we stop him from this because he's just pissing me off?
Buy a new sword, and you would buy it from this vendor, and it would go to a checkout basket like Amazon. And then, in order to finish the purchase, you have to go to the marketplace with the guide and buy it. Pretty fun, not clunky at all.
In a perfect world, could like a Dell guy show up and like a McDonald's employee show up and like sell me all these different things?
In a perfect world, yeah, maybe you can slash pizza. In the next big Microsoft
game.
This
is all selling you virtual items in virtual environments.
It's all exciting, is what it is.
It's fucking it's not.
That's not the first word I would have used.
Yeah.
No, it's awful. It's ridiculous. And we wrote about it very evenly and fairly.
When you're trying to make You're trying to generate a secondary market for other people to come in and sell shit inside of games that you could be... Whoa. Just stop.
Listen... Xbox Live Marketplace is the place where dreams go to die, Garnet.
You forget the word marketplace. It's about commerce, dude. You signed up for this.
So, in, I guess, less sad news, GameStop had a phone call today, and our friends at NextGen were kind enough to listen. And the GameStop VP and CFO, David Carlson, gave out some estimate numbers that their shipments for the year. And these are not GameStop-specific shipments, but they're expecting 1 million PS3s to enter the North American retail channel and only 750,000 Wiis.
That's surprising.
That number is surprisingly low, and I think the PS3 number is a little high.
Well, Sony was saying 2 million worldwide by end of year. So 1 million is conceivable for America for this year. But the Wii number, I have to wonder, is Japan getting like 75% of the Wiis? I could think yes, just because DS is so strong, fucking popular there.
And because it makes sense, they put their foot down on Sony right out of the gate. They come out of the gate strong and try and establish
Nintendo's
that lead.
all about the homeland. I mean, they are a very Japanese company, and like Japan comes first. Yep. So I'm not surprised.
Oh, I don't want to just have us shit all over Microsoft unendingly. And I guess we should have done this earlier so we could have gone out with a brown stain on their nose. But Texas Hold'em's coming out for live, and it's going to be free for 48 hours.
Do you have to put real money down on it?
No,
you don't.
No, it's free for the first 48 hours. But if you don't,
what if I want to use the Vision camera? Do I have to pay for that?
Nope, not yet.
Wait a minute. Now, so I got to argue a little bit. You got to give them their propers for this because they did not get the sponsorship they were looking for. So they're actually footing the bill for the people who get it during the first 48 hours, right?
Yeah, I'll download it for free.
Well, of course.
As long as we're talking about Microsoft raping people, I would like to call out at this point, this week, Reggie once again reminded us that, yes, you'll be able to play games for free on Wii. And Sony has once again reminded us again and again that, yes, you'll be able to play games for free on PlayStation 3. How long is Microsoft going to continue to charge for Xbox Live? That's all I'm saying. I mean, you guys can respond all you want, but I just wonder, at what point, when do you all think they're going to say, okay, Xbox Live is free?
You don't want to go facing up the PS3 online service, nebulous, whatever the fuck it's going to be, versus the Live system. The Live system is still a fantastic system.
Well, but they have said you will be able to play games online
I know, but
free.
Shane, in their demo at E3, they showed Warhawk on the PlayStation Network platform, and the first thing they showed was a page of weapons to buy. I mean,
and you're right. Microsoft isn't charging for anything.
But the thing is, what you're trying to do right now is you're trying to create a tangible difference between the two, and you're not.
That difference will be apparent on November 17th. And is that the point at which Microsoft decides to stop charging?
If they can duplicate the functionality of Live for free, great. But until they do, I am more than willing to pay $60 for the functionality of Live.
They do, and if and when they do,
in 2009,
then that's a whole new ballgame.
Xbox Live will be free.
Luke, even you on November 17th, if PlayStation 3 comes out and does duplicate the functionality, at that point, will you change your tune?
Not going to happen.
Absolutely.
You will.
That's what I want to know. If PlayStation Network platform launches with the functionality equivalent of Xbox Live,
ball game.
Yeah.
Okay. Ball game. That's right.
That's what I'm saying, too. I mean, if it comes out and it isn't the same, then that's cool.
But network platform has been so nebulous so far. I mean, we talked to developers, and they're still like, man, we don't know what the fuck. There's still people that say that. There's still plenty of people that say, we don't know, it's going to be this or it's going to be that.
Well, it's because they haven't told us. I mean, we don't know because they haven't told us.
We've got more happy PlayStation.
I feel like I should be saying something, but I'm still dumbstruck from that Microsoft.
You really,
that really pissed me off.
It was a sucker punch, wasn't it?
It was.
Let's keep talking money. It's working. The Wii to retail for under $200. A variety of online reports tracking back to Japanese investment bank Nikko Citigroup report that the firm issued a report this week claiming that Nintendo has secured a better than anticipated manufacturing cost.
See,
for
that
the Wii's
doesn't
Broadway
jive with the
CPU.
750,000 unit thing. I think if it's so cheap to make, they're going to pump out a zillion of them.
Hojillions.
Yeah.
I think we'll all find out sooner than you think.
No, I think so too. That's the GameStop VP said that we expect to see this month, and I think that's probably one of the things we might see.
You're going to Germany next week, aren't you?
I was going to say, I think that's probably one of those things that you'll be seeing from one up next week.
Everyone's been arguing. What's the consensus around the table? Wii, October? Is it going to do it?
November.
I think earlier in Japan.
Yeah?
Probably, yeah.
250?
Or less.
Don't know. If it's 250, it better have like a game. The game better have 5 virtual console games, and it better have 2 controllers, and then I'll think about getting one. Sony shoots down the PSP price drop. That was kind of a mistake, wasn't it? There was a rumor, not even a rumor, CNN Money, Chris Morris, the usual reliable Chris Morris, writing about how the PSP could see a price drop to $150, and that's like the Price is Right. That's some Bob Barker type shit. $150 for the PSP.
They do have some greatest hits titles now.
That was the point that you made. Well, you shared. It was your point, Garnet.
Well, so it's like a history that they have. When the point of the whole point of putting out greatest hits titles is that you're enticing people to go back and buy the platform who haven't bought it before. If you own a PSP, you already own all those games. The only people it benefits is people who go out and buy the hardware new. Traditionally, they've done a big release of greatest hits when they've done a price drop. Look, the reason they're managing this whole price drop thing, the reason they had to contradict Chris, is they're still trying to assuage the investors. They're trying to hold the stock price up. If they announce right now that they're going to drop the price and fall, there's going to be more investment worries of, where are they going to generate their revenue from? If they wait long enough, drop the price, and sell a fuck ton of them and can generate cash flow, then the stock price will never drop.
If they don't drop the price, they are going to get killed.
Hammered.
Greatest Hits is driving hardware sales. PSP sales are up since the Greatest Hits line came out. And it's directly attributable to that because it certainly wasn't any like AAA title that just launched. I mean, there hasn't been one. So, I mean, cheap software sells hardware.
And they're marketing graces. I've seen the commercials on TV.
The thumb thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30, 27, 11. Those are the numbers in millions that the Yankee Group thinks the console sales will shake down next gen. But how's that work? Sony 1 at 30 million. Xbox 362 at 27, and the Wii at just 11 million.
The Yankee Group,
sold.
As analysts go,
not so good.
Not so good.
Now, what they said that console or casual gamers don't buy consoles. That Nintendo's looking at the same market they've always had.
Apparently
and they're not going to spend money.
They apparently didn't get the DS memo.
Yeah,
I don't know. It must have slipped below the radar of the Yankee Group.
They're also not worried about the Sony price point. They said that brand loyalty. You've got 100 million.
We are loyal.
Microsoft will do well, but it's difficult to go from 22 million Xboxes sold to 100 million Xboxes sold. It's an auspicious goal. One thing I want to point out while we shit all over the Yankee Group, that the numbers, not the 11, but the 30 and the 27 million, I think those are pretty good estimates. I think that, I don't think you're going to see a 100 million selling system this time. because the
Depends
PS3,
how long they drag it out.
The PS3 hardware will never get so cheap where it'll hit that like $129.99
Why
price.
not? The Microsoft guy we were talking today would disagree. That's the whole theory behind making the Core 150. To get the Core to 150 and then sell the shit out of it.
It's nice to want things.
I'm just saying, that's where they want to go with it.
The road to Fantasyland is paved with the blood of virgins.
People were having this conversation when PS2 launched. It's so advanced, there's no way it's ever going to be cheap. The $99 PS2 is not far away.
But the paradigm that we believe...
That's interesting you should say that. The Microsoft guy's argument was that the whole advantage of the Core system was that they could do that, and that Sony didn't have anyway, with the amount of technology they're building into the PS3, to ever drop the price. Yeah. That's ridiculous, because price always drops on technology.
Look at the things that are expensive in a 360. It's the processor and the graphics chip. They're going to get cheaper because the stuff's advancing all the time. The hard drive, it's a mechanical thing. It's going to get replaced with flash at some point. There's going to, if they want to drag it out for 10 years the way everyone says they will, there's going to be a $150 Core.
3 years from now, it's just as reasonable to think that they'll do like they did before. They'll take that entire multiple cell architecture, they'll shrink it down, they'll put it on one chip, jam it in a smaller PS3, and have an inexpensive unit.
But there's no reason to believe that the PlayStation 1 or 2 paradigm is going to follow through for either PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360. And everyone's assuming that, and it's not going to happen. All right.
That's a good point.
One thing that also is in the story that I want to point out, because it's something that we've talked about internally a little bit before, is that this particular gentleman from the Yankee Group says that Grand Theft Auto is an example of Sony being forced to react to Microsoft. He says it's coming out on both platforms, but it's coming out a month earlier on the 360. That's going to be a big driver.
That's not true.
This is the.
Does he have his years mixed up?
It's untrue. That's not true.
Well,
that's not true. That is.
It's at the same time, right?
It's the same time. What they said was there'd be some sort of exclusive content in 360, and then Rockstar backpedaled on that. The Yankee Group's pulling shit out of their ass.
You think?
Yes, I know. That's not true.
See.
We'll see.
The reason I ask if they have their year, are they assuming it's coming out this year and therefore it can't be on PS2 in October?
I think they're
you might actually be right that he could totally think that Grand Theft Auto Next Gen is coming out in October. Wow.
Yeah.
Bad art.
Bad everything.
Bad art. But I do think that you're going to see lower overall install numbers, and I do think it's going to be a lot harder for these systems to get as cheap as
except for Wii.
We could make a profit at $99, according to high profile dudes at the Game Fest.
How many Wii do you think can sell in Japan?
How many people are there in Japan?
A lot.
Many of them.
Every single motherfucker's going to have one,
saying.
probably two, especially when there's like a pink and a black one.
The day they hit the
how many DS you got, Shane?
2.
God, you're such a
How many DS
Ask me how many Game Boys I have, John.
I have one. Well, I have 2 DS.
John, ask me how many Game Boys.
How many Game Boys you got, Shane?
7.
Good God, people are stupid.
I have 4 Game Boys and 3 DS right now. I don't need them. I have a DS Fat, a white, and a black.
I'm going to give my Fat to my sister for her birthday. She'd be happy to have it.
You regifter.
She'll love it.
That's all I got, Garnet.
All right.
We're out of here.
Yeah, definitely. I think we gave everybody plenty enough to... what was your... I'll let you give them your word.
Yeah, I said that second segment in the roundtable, go Threadgasm, guys.
And to think you guys had no energy earlier today.
I know.
Yeah, we were genuinely worried we would have nothing to talk about today.
I made you guys do the podcast, and I'm glad I did.
All right, everybody out there, hit your Threadgasm boards.oneup.com. We'll be watching them, and we'll be back next week.
This has been One Up Yours, a production of the Ziff Davis Game Group and part of the One Up Radio Network. One Up Yours is hosted by Garnet Lee and John Davison, produced by Andrew Pfister and Mike Ing, and is published every Friday afternoon at podcasts.oneup.com and at the iTunes Music Store.
What's up? I'm not in the fucking credits.